Hello and welcome to the Warhammer Podcast, episode 181. I'm your host, Brad. This is my co-host, Eric.
How's it going?
And we just got done recording a ton of bonus content, so you patrons can be happy about that later. For now, though, we have a very fun episode for you guys. This one got requested pretty heavily, like a couple weeks ago in the comments, and we decided it's been long enough. We should rank all of the combat patrols that came out during 10th edition, and any of the remaining ones from 9th that still exist.
Sounds good.
So we're going to try to keep these newbie friendly. We're not going to get too much into numbers of the moment. We're going to try to explain things for the target audience of you're new and you're wondering if the combat patrol is a good idea for you to start your collection with. And we're nearing the end of 10th edition at this point, so this should work as a good 10th edition / 11th edition episode. So if you're in early 11th, this should all be relevant to you still.
And we're also not really going to be talking about combat patrol as like the rules set game. We're talking about combat patrol boxes as a way to get into 40K.
Yeah, as like a collection building piece to start off with. And if it's useful to buy 2 copies of your combat patrol, or if you should skip it altogether, stuff like that.
Right.
Also, we're going to talk about all of the factions today except for Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights because they don't have combat patrols. You just buy Knights. That's how they work.
I mean, to be fair, the small Knights are the combat patrols. That is what it is. They just didn't want to make another box.
Yeah, you can just play the format with the Knights. But yeah, we're going to basically look at each faction, look at the combat patrols available to that faction. For most of them, it is 1, unless you're Space Marines, which we'll get to, and figure out if it's a good purchase for you. But let's get into it.
Wait, before we get into that, one last thing, we got to do like shout out stuff that we haven't been doing quite so well.
Fair point. YouTube's been really mad at us lately, so I'm going to make sure we do this. Please do the YouTube pleasantries on this episode if you enjoy it and get use out of it. It helps us a lot. YouTube's been mad at us like for the last month now because we've just stopped doing this call out, hoping that we wouldn't have to, but I guess we do.
Hey, I can make the button light up on desktop. I said the word subscribe.
There you go. So that's that. We have merch. We have a Patreon. Links are below in the description as always. Okay, we can do the episode now. I hate this YouTube crap.
All right, with all that out of the way, let's start with Adepta Sororitas.
So to start us off, we've got a Canoness, 5 Sacrosants, 10 Sisters of Battle, and 10 Arco-Flagellants.
Don't forget about the transfer sheet.
No, we're not listing off transfer sheets like the GW website, Jesus.
So that is one of the things of like, technically the transfer sheets are part of the value of the box, but no, they're not.
Anyway, the box is an okay spread of sister units. The fact that the worst thing to double up on here is Arco-Flagellants, which you may not be that interested in. I kind of wish it had been Sisters Repentia just because there is a higher likelihood that you want all of the units in the box for your starting collection at that point, because I know that Sisters players might not like the half-naked gimp suit things.
Yeah, it's definitely an aesthetic that not everybody's going to be interested in, but at the same time, having 10 for your first box is not a bad thing, even if it's not like your most exciting aspect of a Sisters army. It's not so bad to have it as an option, but yeah, if you really don't like it, the second box is not going to look very enticing at all.
I will say, as far as boxes go, value-wise, this one is not the greatest. Basically, if you don't want every unit in the box again, other than the Canoness, then the box is not worth it. So I think the first copy of it is quite good, and the second one depends on if you need a second copy of every unit in the box.
Yeah, thank you to one of our patrons for putting together some of this in spreadsheet format. But yeah, it's a fine combat patrol. It's not amazing, because like some of the amazing combat patrols are the ones where you buy 2, 3, and you get like half an army or more kind of thing. Like you're really doing well. This is not it. And one of the big things here, and we'll just rip the band-aid off, there's no centerpiece.
Yeah.
When you're starting collecting a faction, you want a centerpiece model to be like, this is the thing. And yeah, the Canoness works all right, but like, you gotta have something a little bit more exciting, man.
For Sisters, the problem is they don't have many centerpieces that aren't like a big character who's named.
Right, you get like the Penitents or the Paragon Warsuits.
You could go with like some Mortifiers or whatever, which is more like doing an elite unit, which I also feel like would have been better than the Arco-Flagellants.
Yeah, I mean, even like as silly as it is, like the Rhino could be, because like Sisters have their Rhino.
Yeah, the Rhino is actually in the old Combat Patrol. That one would be okay. It's a little boring.
Yeah, and I mean, the last Combat Patrol had problems not from like the list, but from how it was built and separated into into sprues and stuff.
Yeah, the undersized units and everything being easy to build where it didn't have all the options for the full kit. Yeah, there was some weird stuff in that one too.
So this combat patrol for sisters is decent value for the first one. Second one will be decent value if you're interested in all the units. But I mean, I can't imagine a third realistically.
Yeah, it's just not a very high value box, so it's hard to argue too many copies.
But I mean, that's just kind of how sisters play a little bit with how, you know, their trade pieces. On the other hand, Adeptus Custodes is very elite. So I'm expecting their combat patrol to be pretty solid.
It is pretty solid. It's also kind of weird. So it's not the greatest discount. Like, it's actually like dead tied with sisters and is on the lower end discount wise.
I mean, a lot of the newer ones are kind of this discount nowadays, which sucks, but
yeah, it's sad. But so this is the lower end of discounts. However, point wise, this is 1,000 points depending how you build it.
yeah, you've got a Blade Champion, 3 Alaris Custodians, 5 Custodian Guards, and 5 Custodian Wardens.
Now, because of how custodian kits are built, you can technically like stretch this and make more captains out of the kits because of that's how you build those units. But even without doing fancy stuff to like jack up how many points you get out of this box, it is a very good value point wise. Custodes is a cheap army for a reason. Like, it's one of the things you point people to when they don't have much cash.
That's very true. And there's also 14 models in here, which is not that many for a lot of other factions, but for Custodes, 14 models is a decent chunk.
Yeah, it is not uncommon to run like 20 something in your full 2,000 point list.
Yeah. So if you're just getting into it, this Combat Patrol, the first box, is great.
Yeah, and it's a box where the second box is pretty good value in my opinion because it is made up entirely of basic types of units. Like, you've got your Terminator elite unit, you've got your basic squad, you've got your more elite version of that with the Wardens, and Blade Champion is a good generic character. And because you can build characters out of your Terminators and your normal kit, you can end up with a lot of value out of like 2 or 3 of these. And like, I'm sure my brother's collection of Custodes includes at least 3 of this box, like if I sat them all together. Other than, I don't think he owns 3 Blade Champions, I think he owns 2. But the point stands of like, that's not bad. So
No.
like, this box in general is a very good pickup, and a second one is probably also a solid pickup.
Yeah, unless you're super interested in the Anathema Sakana part of Adeptus Custodes, because you're going to be kind of missing that out. But even then, if you pick up 2 of this Combat Patrol, you have the core of basically any Custodes army, and then you can pick up the Anathema Sakana and like slot it in as you get those new models and put them together and all that kind of stuff.
Or grab some Virtus Praetors, so you've got your
Yeah.
bikers. Literally just picking this up and picking up like 2 box of bikers is a great early collection to play 1K games with.
Oh, absolutely. And gives you a few options to build as well. It's not literally just this list.
Yeah, it lets you do a lot of different stuff. So Custodes, 10 out of 10, great. Even though like it's not the biggest discount box, it doesn't need to be. Custodes is a good cheap army for people who are on a tight budget.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately,
Oh boy, is this a bit of a whiplash.
let's talk about one of the worst combat patrols that exists currently. Adeptus Mechanicus. You just cannot get a win as an AdMech fan. It's only straight losses. The last like 4 boxes in a row have been increased price and less points somehow. So currently, the combat patrol is a Tech Priest Manipulus, 3 Cerberus Sulfur Hounds, 5 Taraxi Sterilizers, which are also Sky Stalkers, and 10 Skitarii. That's it. It's missing a whole unit. It should clearly have another unit in it. It is only a 25% discount. It is a miserable sub 300 points currently. Like, I'm not going to talk about all of these stats for every single one of these boxes, but like, this is an exceptionally bad box in every way you try to do it.
Yeah, part of that is just because of AdMech. AdMech is one of the most expensive armies to put 2,000 points together.
And as we've talked about in previous versions of this conversation, when an army is like that, it's more important that the discount box be extremely good to counteract it. It's like with Genestealer Cults, one of the only reasons it was a collectible army last edition was it had a crazy good combat patrol, like the best one, that helped offset the fact that it is like the second most expensive army to collect.
Whereas this AdMech combat patrol is very much not doing that. Like you said, it's basically missing an entire unit.
If you threw a tank or a dune crawler in here, this would be a box I would give a thumbs up and would be happy with. As it stands, this is like barely a discount if you want all of these exact models. And it's not a discount if you didn't even want every single one of them.
To be fair though, the first box, you're probably gonna want one of all of these units in your AdMech army.
Sure. Just to have them in your collection, even if you're not running them all in all your lists. Sure. It's not actively so bad you would never purchase it.
Right. Because it is a discount, but it's so easy to slot 300 points into a 2K list.
It's frustrating, but like in a way, this is teaching you because this is so bad value. It helps you understand that you have to be extremely overpaid, like one of my employees, to collect AdMech.
Yeah.
An insult for one person who will never listen to this episode out of spite.
God. It is true though, of like, this is a discount for the units that you're getting, and even then it's not like a good price to point value proposition there. Like, to get to a full list, you're spending a bunch of money, and yeah, you really want the combo boxes to help offset that cost. This is so disappointing.
Don't worry, we're not done with disappointing things with the initials AM.
All right, Astra Militarum, how are you doing?
So the Imperial Guard box is also trash. It is awful, miserable, horrendous, other synonyms.
Wow.
This box upsets me. We have a 5-man Cadian command squad, we have 10 Khazarkins and 10 Attilan Rough Riders, and that's it.
It's somehow even more anemic than the AdMech list, and this is Guard,
which has one of the largest, most varied ranges in the game.
And this is the faction that's basically supposed to drown others in bodies. That's kind of the thing. It's just send more soldiers at them.
Or tanks, the other thing missing from this box.
I mean, I do like the Attilan Rough Riders. I think they're pretty cool, but you're absolutely right. A tank would make a lot of sense, and kind of feels like if we move a couple of those Khazarkin in the center there off to the sides, we just put a little Rogaldorn right in there. That's a box.
A Rogaldorn is a shitload of points, but this is so anemic that it wouldn't even be that out of place.
Yeah, I was like, I think we're at what, 550 points then?
Yeah, but like just adding a Sentinel would at least make this feel less bad. And even that is like, I am meeting you more than halfway.
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch kind of thing.
That is barely a vehicle.
Yeah, like at that point, just throw some like Taurox in there or something. Fuck, I don't know. Like
a Taurox would be terrible at this.
It would be
a
awful,
different type
but
of unit.
I don't think a Sentinel really makes sense. And like, I think part of that is why this box is missing the last unit, but they either should have just accepted, put a tank in there, or have like 2 more units of Khazarkins or something. Just like actually flood with models.
The problem is Khazarkins are supposed to be an elite unit as far as guard goes.
Right.
So you have an elite unit, 2 copies of your mounted unit, and a random command squad. Even if the real answer is you have to add 10 normal guardsmen so that it feels like you are overwhelming them with numbers now, that's a fine answer.
For guard, it would still be an obvious miss of like, you don't have tanks, but it's we didn't go the tank route, we went a bunch of soldiers route.
Yeah, and the worst part is like thinking of that, it's still like an okay discount and terrible point wise.
Yeah, if you just put a unit of like Cadian shock troops in there, it's still only like, it's sub 400
by a bit.
So like, this box is a discount. If you are interested in all 3 of these units, pick it up. But otherwise, I would not say that this is a good way to get into the army.
Yeah, this is going to be a true, I don't recommend you start with this box unless like you specifically wanted these for some reason. This might be fine to pick up once you've started collecting guard, but I don't even think this should be your first purchase, which tells me it fails as a combat patrol.
It at least fails for what we want Combat Patrol to do. But all right, Imperial Agents, aren't you new?
And weird, and barely a faction. But if they're what you're interested in, I won't yuck your yum today.
We've got 1 Ministorum Priest, an Eversor Assassin, 6 Inquisitorial Agents, and a 20 Vigilant Squad with all of the extra bits that are associated with those models and units and stuff. This is good value.
It's a good value. It's a 36% discount. It is an honestly very good value, partly because some of these kits are overpriced.
Yeah, they are.
Anyway, this is a good box from a actual like stat standpoint if this is what you wanted to collect. That said, Imperial Agents is barely a faction in the first place.
It's not a faction I would suggest getting into as a starting thing, just because 1, it is kind of like 3 in a trench coat, but the trench coat doesn't really exist at the same time. And 2, 11th edition is coming up not too far in the future, and I don't have any idea what they're going to do with Imperial Agents.
It's weird to recommend this. If you need this episode, you probably should not be buying this box. However, if you know you want this box, it is a good value.
Or if you already have an army and you're thinking, man, I want to paint more stuff. Imperial Agents, how's that?
Sure.
Maybe, yeah.
The basic troop here is dual build between the 2 different versions. The Inquisitorial Agents is fine to own a second copy of if you're truly getting into this faction. Otherwise, 1 is more than you'll need, but they are cool, so like 1 is fine. The Eversor Assassin, you probably would never want a second copy of.
So one of the other interesting things about this Combat Patrol, I want you to count how many models are in it, and then count how many models are in the Astra Militarum one.
Yeah. That's upsetting.
The Astra Militarum one's real rough.
Yeah. Again, I think this is a very good box. We can move on, but like this is a solid box if you were truly interested in this faction. But in a vacuum, if you don't know much about this faction and you're just like, oh, it's a good value box, I'll start with this faction. Don't. This is me warning you in advance. This is not something we recommend you start with.
Yeah, also no real interest in getting a second one, even if you're there. But let's move on to Grey Knights. They had a fantastic Combat Patrol previously.
Yes, what I dubbed as one of the best 2 in the game. And now they have a new Combat Patrol.
We've got Castellan Crow, a 10-man strike squad, a 5-man Brotherhood Terminators, and Venerable Dreadnought.
This is the biggest downgrade of any Combat Patrol. They went from possibly tied for first place, one of the best Combat Patrols to exist, to actual doo-doo. This is the worst. This feels awful. Do not collect Grey Knights until they refresh the range. Just stop.
I mean, I don't entirely disagree, but I also have hesitation that they're going to do it anytime in the near future.
Instead of buying this Combat Patrol, if you are listening to this and had interest in Grey Knights, send an email to GW telling them you did not purchase this and bought Trench Crusade instead.
Yeah, that's about right.
Make them suffer for what they did to Grey Knights this edition. The Terminator edition did not update Grey Knights after 15 years. Wild.
Yeah, this one is basically Crow and a bunch of models that they're probably trying to get rid of.
Coincidentally, the battle force was a bunch of models they were trying to get rid of.
Yeah. To be fair, though, this is a good starting for Grey Knights if you want to play now. It's not even a decent discount.
It's not even decent.
It's just a decent price for the amount of points you have because it's Grey Knights and they're kind of elite. You get like 700 points.
This is embarrassing in every way other than point count, but literally just Grey Knight kits gets you that. This is a bad Combat Patrol through and through. It has a named character, which is one of the first things I say you should never put in a Combat Patrol.
That is very true. It can sometimes be okay as like, oh, you buy the one and then you never have interest in the second one. Because there's also the Venerable Dread there, let's be honest, you're only ever playing the Venerable Dreadnought in Grey Knights if you're having a laugh.
Yeah, like you've played it before.
I have, and I've played it again.
It's entirely for fun though.
But it's not a like good unit. Even now that it can actually participate in the army rules and all that kind of stuff as a character and whatever, it's not good. It hasn't been good. Will likely never be good. So like really you're getting Crow, Strike Squad, and Brotherhood Terminators. Those are good to have, like the one Crow, great, cool model. And you're going to use Strikes and Terminators, but probably just pick piecemeal and, you know, save some money and you'll probably do okay collecting Grey Knights there. I don't know, man. It sucks because the last one was so good and it's so easy to not fuck it up.
All right, let's tackle, before we leave the Imperium, the most complicated one to walk through, which is the massive range of Space Marines.
Yeah, man. I guess let's start with the Space Marines. Marines.
Okay, we're going to rapid fire this a little bit. If you're interested in Space Marines here, there are 10 combat patrols you can currently buy, if we didn't miss any.
Or you'll be able to buy very soon. I think there's one or two that haven't quite come out yet.
Yeah, we're expecting some of these to come out in several weeks, but we know the combat patrols. So there is a basic one that is Combat Patrol Space Marines. It is based off the Leviathan box set. It is not a good value, especially when you look at stuff like eBay, because all of these were printed to death in an intro box at a heavy discount that was heavier than this discount. Don't buy this box under any circumstance. Go buy these secondhand online, or if you're far enough in the future that it is 11th edition, there is a new intro box out, go buy that instead.
Yeah, there's a point of, it has technically been a discount, but you're spending all of that money up front kind of thing. 6% is not enough of a discount to spend that much money all up front. Just, buy the ones that you want individually, or find eBay or the next box that'll come out. Moving on to Black Templars, though.
Yeah, so Black Templars is one that you have to be aware that it has exclusive units that only Black Templars can play. For several of the Space Marine boxes, they are entirely generic. We'll talk about that when we get to them. The Black Templars Combat Patrol only works if you want to play specifically Black Templars.
I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. It is just something to keep in mind of, if you're not playing Black Templars and you're not locked in on that, look elsewhere kind of thing. But yeah, in this Combat Patrol, we've got an Emperor's Champion, 3 Blade Guard veterans, 5 Sword Brethrens, and 10 Crusaders.
It's all entirely stuff for Black Templars, which is nice, because if you're interested in expanding your army into Black Templars, like let's say you have an intro box, all of these will be new to you and will help move your range in the direction you want if you want to go specifically Black Templars. That's good. Discount wise, it's pretty mediocre. Point wise, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Generally, of like the discount, the points, this is kind of where we're at now with combat patrols for what we're looking at. So I think it's a great first pickup if you're interested in Black Templars, but you have to really be interested in Black Templars.
Yeah, that's kind of my take too, of like, this is a fantastic box for a Black Templars player to start with. But if you are not specifically that, then this is not a general Space Marine box. Move on.
Right.
Blood Angels has a similar issue of the Blood Angel box here is a Blood Angels captain, which is, you can make that generic. 2 3-man Sanguinary Guard squads, 10 Assault Intercessors, and it works out to be like a 25% discount, which is meh. This one's really awkward because it has a generic unit, a specific unit, so only Blood Angels players can want this box, but it's got 2 copies of that unit, and it's the one that got memed to death when it got remade because it looks like ass. So I don't think I would ever recommend this box for the most part.
Yeah, it's really tough because you really want to have Blood Angels as your faction to go all in on the Sanguinary Guard there. And like, if you're already kind of into Space Marines from a, more general box or a collection of whatever, you might not really need the extra Assault Intercessors or Captain.
Yeah, they're very generic units that you'll have easy access to, them or equivalents.
So yeah, this isn't enough of a discount to be like, yep, we got 2 boxes of Sanguinary Guard and then some extra free stuff. It's not that good. So this is a real tough one, man. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. And then we've got the other problem child, Dark Angels. This was one of my early examples for how not to build a combat patrol. So, we're going to have a good review of it. So for Dark Angels, you get a Captain in Gravis armor, 3 Blade Guard veterans, 5 Hellblasters, and 10 Intercessors.
You remember when it used to have a Dreadnought?
Yeah, I do.
Bunch of other cool stuff as well. Like, it was like, this one does not. This one is simple.
No, it's not simple, because Eric, what's your captain going to lead in 10th edition where you have to lead units?
I mean, you don't have to.
Sure, fuck you.
I mean,
you don't have to pay your taxes.
Cut that.
Cut that.
I agree with what you're saying, but I feel like the Captain in Gravis armor you can run separate because it's just the CP reduction thingy.
No, it's terrible. Absolutely god awful.
It's not a good idea. But I understand where you're going with that, because I think the Gravis armor only leads the aggressors, the heavy intercessors, and something else.
And eradicators. It's all the Gravis armor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have a captain who can lead nothing else in this box.
Sweet.
This box is awful.
You also, you got got 10 intercessors, which, like, again,
that might be the total amount of intercessors you want in your entire collection once you have 3,000 points.
wow.
Maybe 5,000 points.
I feel like it's a lot easier to recommend a combat patrol for a specific, like, Dark Angels or Black Templar or whatever. If you're already kind of collecting Space Marines, like, you have a general collection of units there, it's technically a discount again.
I argue it isn't once you take out the Gravis captain that you're literally, like, this is not going to make a usable chunk of any army. You'd have to have such a specific collection of other models to make this something you expand into and get use out of everything in it.
Yeah, it is tough, man. They're really making it tough to recommend this in any aspect.
This was like one of the worst design choices of any box they've made in the edition. Anyway, we can move on. Let's do Space Wolves, which basically does the same thing but a bit better. You get a Wolfguard battle leader, 5 Wolfguard Terminators, 5 Wolfen, and 10 Blood Claws. This is pretty solid if you're going into Space Wolves. I wouldn't make this the first box I ever collect of Space Marines in general unless I'm a huge Space Wolves fan.
I feel like you know.
Yeah.
If you're a huge Space Wolves fan, you know, and you've probably already bought this box.
Right. But like if I want to get into Space Wolves, is this a good start for me from my generic Marine collection? Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah, if you already have Space Marine collection, it doesn't have to be a lot. Like even like 500 to 1,000 points is enough of a starting collection to support branching out into Space Wolves or whatever.
And if you're like, this is what puts you over the edge, let's say you have like a half of a Leviathan box or whatever 11th edition starter is, and you're like, oh, I collected this, I started putting them together, got into lore, I think Space Wolves are awesome, should I get the Space Wolf starter box to go with it? Yeah, this is a good box.
It does have a lot of Space Wolf stuff, so solid.
And it's a fine value, fine points. There's nothing really wrong with it. I don't think I recommend a second one unless you want literally everything in this box.
Which is possible.
20 Blood Claws is a lot, but it is possible. You're a Space Wolves player, you enjoy Unga Bunga.
But yeah, from there, we've got the ones that are coming out or potentially have come out, depending on when you're listening to this. But let's start with the Pineapple Space Marines.
Sure. So I know why you did that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So the Imperial Fists, they have a new combat patrol coming out. It is all generic Marines that you can play anywhere. You get a company hero squad, 5 Terminators, 5 Intercessors, and 5 Heavy Intercessors.
All right, man.
It's actually reasonable. This is a nice full Terminator kit. It's not like a little easy to build one. You get a decent spread of the generic infantry. Intercessor is like basic bolters, right? Heavy Intercessors works with the theme of Imperial Fist being the big bolters, we are the line stuff. Then moving up to Terminators is your heaviest thing, and having company heroes is actually kind of interesting because like it's a Space Marine leader unit character thing you probably don't own a copy of already.
But at the same time, it's a little weird to be like, yeah, we want multiple company heroes.
Yeah, I don't think you ever buy a second copy of this box, but this is a high likelihood of being a box where you get use out of every unit in it as long as you don't already own a big pile of Intercessors or Terminators.
Yeah.
This seems like a fine box to expand your collection with if you're like a new person who got like a starter set.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that this is a good way to start collecting in general, though, because it is a little slanted towards like the Terminator Heavy Intercessor type thing. You're not really getting like characters to lead, so you're missing out on a lot of that aspect to the whole game. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty solid. Let's take a look at Iron Hands. Everybody loves Iron Hands.
So Iron Hands, we get a Primaris Tech Marine, 10 Heavy Intercessors, which is 2 squads, and 2 Fire Strike Servo Turrets.
Oh boy.
Paperweights.
They do make the discount pretty decent, though.
It's actually kind of annoying because like the box discount wise is fine, but it's hard to recommend this.
Nobody plays that.
You get a Tech Marine, but you don't get any of the classic vehicles a Tech Marine would want to be paired up with. Like I get he can repair the turrets, but fuck you.
Basically, yeah.
The 10 Heavy Intercessors is a lot of Heavy Intercessors. I love them and I own 20 of the things, or maybe 25. I don't know. I own a lot of Heavy Intercessors. I don't want to talk about it, but I do love me Gravis armor.
I feel like that's a common thing, though. Like, if you want to get a 5-man of Heavy Intercessors, you probably want 10 of them.
Yes. I don't think this is the worst box ever for a casual. Like, look, the servo turret is ass. You need to to know that. But
It's funny in how bad it is.
it's something where if a casual has it, it's totally fine. It's a cool little turret, but it's bad in the game. I am iffy on recommending this to anybody unless you have a very specific collection of like you're already going in a heavy direction of you like Gravis, you like heavy stuff, you like vehicles, but you don't have a tech marine and you don't have your heavy intercessors yet. It's hard to recommend this to somebody.
I feel like it's more the opposite of you've already collected like, you know, your Phobos part of the army and you're like, I want to get into the heavy side. I want heavy intercessors and attack marine. Guess I'll get the servos as well.
Yeah, but like at that point, I feel like I recommend the Imperial Fist box, which still comes with 5 heavy intercessors. You get some Terminators for a different heavy unit.
True.
And the company heroes.
But like you probably already have the intercessors.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is a little weird on who to recommend the Iron Hands box to. One of you out there exists.
It's a good value for somebody, but that somebody is hard to find.
Yeah, I really would not recommend this as a start to your collection in general, though. Too many heavy intercessors.
Unlike the Ravenguard box, which I think is a perfect one for a new player. This is honestly what all combat patrols should look like.
Well, I mean, it's based on a couple of decent ones in the past.
Yeah, you get a jump pack captain, 5 jump pack intercessors to go with that captain, 10 infiltrators, and an Invictor tactical warsuit. Look, centerpieces, something that used to be normal, and for some reason GW has gutted.
Yeah, it is a little weird. This one, honestly, pretty decent value, solid points, good like spread of the army that's, you know, trying to do jump packy type things.
Yeah, it's your high mobility part of the army. It's a combo of Phobos and jetpacks. It shows off Ravenguard well. It shows off a theme when you have multiple combat patrols of like this one's for if you want fast space marines. It's a good value. It's got different types of units so that you can experience all the stuff as a new player to figure out which ways you want to go with your collection. I love this box. This is a 10 out of 10. If you're starting out Space Marines, you can't really go wrong with this. You paint them red, they're blood angels, and you're just as happy.
And if you have a small collection already, this is probably a decent addition to it. Unless, obviously, you already have all the jump pack stuff, and then, you know, as you do. But I think, yeah, the Ravenguard Combat Patrol is pretty solid. 2 of them is not unreasonable.
No, it's absolutely fine. If you're going jump pack and Phobos in your collection anyway, like you want high mobility Space Marines, 2 copies of this is really good. Moving on to Salamanders, we have one that I'm very happy with, but I don't know if I recommend everybody. So this one, it gets a black mark for me for having Adrax Agatone, who is a named character and is specific to a specific Space Marine chapter, which is very annoying.
You have your named character for Salamanders.
Yeah, it's awkward, and it's my one real black mark on this box that would otherwise be pretty awesome. You get an Invader ATV, 3 Eradicators, 5 Assault Intercessors, and 10 Infernus Marines. The Invader ATV is a funny, stupid-looking model that a lot of people hate, but the theme of this box being Fire and Flame, and it having a Melta on it, and then you get a squad with Meltas and 10 dudes with flamethrowers, and your character also has a flamer. Everything about this is a really good way to show off the Fire and Flame part.
This is Salamanders through and through, man. It's doing its job, but almost too well.
Right. It's slightly hard to recommend to generic people because of that. But if you got in, you got your starter box, you're building it up, and you're like, oh man, got into lore, love Salamanders, slam this box. I think it's a great little start to the army for you.
I think even if you just like flamers and you're interested in expanding your range into that, picking up this box and having access to Adrax, even if you're not like, I'm Salamanders coded, I want to play that all the time, you just want flamers, it's probably not a bad idea to also have Adrax as an option, and the discount is good enough that like it's not going to hurt you. And hey, maybe you will actually like Salamanders.
The one thing I will say is this box will get better in 11th edition if you're in the future right now, because currently the thing against this box is 10 Infernus Marines jack up the value while not being expensive in real life because they are the current Marine in everything due to the starter box of 10th edition. Like these are a dime a dozen right now to us. So it's currently not great. In 11th edition, when the Infernus Marine is not the Marine in every single box, it's the whatever 11th editions is going to be.
I bet it starts with IN.
In Torsors, so that we can be even more confused.
Perfect.
But whatever it is, it won't be Infernus Marines, and that makes this box a better value for you. So if you're in 11th watching this and wondering about this box, yes, very good.
Only one.
Well, yeah, Agrax really kills the value on the repeat.
But a great first box if you're interested at all. I think, oh no, we got one more, don't we?
Half of the things we're discussing today is a single faction out of 24.
How about White Scars?
So White Scars is the last of the boxes here. I do not recommend this box to anybody. It is terrible.
We've got Spodun Khan, 3 Outriders, 5 Assault Intercessors, and an Impulsor. Hey, look, a centerpiece model.
Yeah, a basic transport, which I guess is the best centerpiece we can ask for nowadays.
And a named character.
Yeah, so Outriders are a notoriously shit kit. A named character who is for a specific sub-faction, which is its own black mark. It's not a good value. It's not a good point cost. It's real rough to recommend this one at all.
It almost feels like the Salamanders box when you're looking at it, and then you realize, but no, all of these kits suck.
Yeah, it's so disappointing.
The real problem is the value proposition just isn't there. It is a discount, but there's so much that you're locked into that the discount just isn't really worth it.
All right, let's move into Chaos. We've got Chaos Demons. We're still using our 9th edition Combat Patrol because Demons is in a rough spot in 10th edition, and we're not going into that today. But in 11th edition will be our edition. Cope.
Yeah, that's it. I'm sure it'll be just fine.
They'll finish releasing World Eaters. They'll finish releasing EC.
Thousand Suns will get a refresh.
They'll make sure to invest in Chaos Demons. 11th edition will finally turn it around so that Chaos is not the redheaded stepchildren of all of 40K. It's not going to be like the last 20 years. The year of Chaos will be upon us.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, this Combat Patrol, if it's the Combat Patrol of 11th, I guess, whenever you're listening, watching to this, is very Khorne. Do you like Khorne? Are you interested in getting into Khorne? Yes. Buy. Otherwise, no, don't.
It's a Bloodmaster, 3 Blood Crushers, 10 Fleshhounds, and 20 Bloodletters. Honestly, if you love Khorne Demons, this is not a bad one to buy 2 of. We've had worse, not in Demons. Demons has had amazing start collecting boxes in the past. But that said, yeah, it's a good one as long as you like Khorne. If you like any other part of Chaos Demons, do not buy this box. You know who could use 5 different Combat Patrols, not Space Marines, who have 10 of them somehow? It would be the Demons, who are all stuck together as one faction, even though it's 4 factions in a trench coat.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Games Workshop, if you're listening to this, you could invest differently to help improve the game.
Well, moving on from that, Chaos Space Marines.
Chaos Space Marines, like Space Marines, has 10 combat... Oh, no, it doesn't.
No, it's got 1.
Oh, it's 1 Combat Patrol.
Yeah. We've got a Master of Possession, 5 Possessed, 10 Chaos Space Marines, and 10 Chaos Cultists.
Oh, it's a bad Combat Patrol.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad on the discount. The points are fine.
Mediocre. It's Space Marines, and these points are mediocre.
Master Possession with the Possessed, and you got your Cultists going on. It's thematically working out, but that's about all I can say.
This one's real hard to recommend. I'm iffy on it.
If you're just getting into CSM, it's probably decent enough to give it a shot.
Yeah, it's not actively awful as your first box to get into Chaos Space Marines, but I would never buy the second one, and it's just rough to recommend in general. Like, the value is not here.
And there isn't really anything that's like that exciting. Like, the Possessed are pretty cool. I do like the Master Possession.
I love Possessed as a unit. I agree. But 5 Possessed is not like drawing me to 10 generic CSM and having 10 cultists in here, which is like anti-cool. I say this as a cultist fan, but like, you're not selling a box on them.
They're not exciting in any way. So if you're just getting into Chaos Space Marines, this is probably a decent enough starting spot. Even then, it might be better to just pick and choose what you want. Like, it's not that good of a discount. Hopefully, we've got some better things in the future for Chaos. Let's take a look at Death Guard.
Boy, did we win. You get a Lord Virulence, a Tallyman, a Rhino, 3 Deathshroud Terminators, and 7 Plague Marines because funny number. This is a really good box. This is the one where when we made up our Dream Death Guard Combat Patrol, it almost exactly lined up with this one. Like, crazy close. We did not know what it was going to end up being. We did it months before this was revealed. So like, this was just happenstance. This is a very good start to Death Guard.
It's a great start. Pretty solid on the discount as well. Like, this is the better side of a lot of these discounts. The point values are solid because Death Guard's reasonably elite. And you've got Terminators.
If every Combat Patrol was of the quality of this Death Guard Combat Patrol, this episode would not need to exist. Unfortunately, this is not true. This is a fantastic box. If you're looking into Death Guard, slam this thing. It's great. A second one is not bad either.
No, 2 of this is great because you've got your characters leading the units and you have mobility to transport them around. This is a great fundamental core to Death Guard. And then from there, you can grab some Mephitic Plate Haulers or like whatever else you're interested in for Death Guard. But like 2 of these, yeah, that's a great start.
So moving on, we've got Emperor's Children. Eric, I'll let you take this one.
We've got 1 Lord Exultant, 6 Flawless Blades, and 10 Infractors. That's like the basic unit, so they can be built as Tormentors or whatever.
This is unfortunately Blood Angels but Chaos.
I hate that you're not wrong.
It is the exact same box, and I have the exact same opinion.
It's not a great discount. The points are actually fine.
It doubles up on your elite unit, which is like your only bespoke elite unit. Has 10 copies of your basic troop. I really don't like this box.
To be fair, though, the basic troop for Emperor's Children is quite good to have a bunch of.
Because it's dual build, yes.
So like even if you have a collection of basically the other model in Emperor's Children, it won't be too ridiculous to have an extra 10 Infractors or Tormentors kind of thing.
This box would be so good if you just dropped 3 of the Flawless Blades to put in a set of Noise Marines. Because then I would tell you to buy 2 copies of it and just build 10 Infractors, 10 Tormentors.
Yeah, that could work.
It's so frustrating how close this is to a good box, and instead it's one where I'm like, 1 copy's okay, I guess.
1 copy is okay, I guess, if you don't already have any Flawless Blades kind of thing and you're interested in that. I would not really suggest it as a start to Emperor's Children, but part of that is just because like I'm not sure I'm really recommending anybody start into Emperor's Children at the moment. It's such a small range. They're really cool. I love the Noise Marines, man.
Don't worry, I'm sure 11th will treat them just as well as 10th treated World Eaters.
That is why I have hesitation towards it. It should be expected that we're gonna get another, like 6 units, and it'll be great. It'll be eating good.
If you get treated like Votann did this edition, then yes.
That'd be great. But as it is, the box is not particularly amazing, so probably just piecemeal whatever you want. There were some other potential boxes. If you want the Flawless Blades, this is fine, I guess. Let's see what they've got for Thousand Sons, though.
So the Thousand Sons box, we've talked about it before, but it is a Demon Prince, a Shaman, 3 Zongor Enlightened, and 10 Rubric Marines. It's a solid box to start your collection with. If you don't like Zongor, do not buy this box. I know they are a thing where half of all Thousand Son fans hate Zongor. If you are among them, then you do not want this box. It has no reason to exist for you.
I'm not entirely sure I agree with that, because the Zongor Enlightened are reasonable even if you're just having it as like 1 3-man unit to do stuff. It's not unreasonable to have that as just a couple points essentially in your Thousand Sons list. You're never going to want 2 of them, obviously, but I think it could work.
I mean, you say that. Competitive lists, we run 18 of these fuckers sometimes, but yes.
Yeah, that's because the Zongor Enlightened are not point costed correctly at the moment.
They're real good right now, depending on the list. Anyway, if you enjoy Zongor, this box is fantastic. It's a good start collecting. Can't really ask for more.
It's shocking that they put a Demon Prince in here.
It is. I am really happy about it. Both this one and when we get to World Eaters in a minute.
It is nice to have that Demon Prince, and like having 2 Demon Princes was not a bad thing.
Yeah, this is one where my personal collection has more than 2 copies of this in my collection. I legitimately own 3 copies of this box just through buying Thousand Sons over the years.
Yeah, that's about right.
My Demon Princes are not the new Demon Prince. It is a very cool model. This box is a good value if you love the whole range of Thousand Sons. We have half of our range of Zongor. Get over that. They're cool.
Decent points. It's got a centerpiece. Really, it's tough not to suggest it, but yeah, I guess if you really hate the Zongor.
Which, as someone in the Thousand Sons sphere, I can tell you that there is a percentage of people who despise Zongor.
Fair enough.
So let's move into World Eaters. World Eaters have a Demon Prince, a Master of Execution, 10 Khorne Berserkers, and 10 Jackals.
Wow.
Boy, this sounds familiar, having just come from Thousand Sons, and I have basically the same thing to say here. This is a good box. It has decent variety. It's got a centerpiece model. Everything is fine to own a second copy of for the most part. Like, I don't really have any issue with any normal collection having 2 copies of all of this. Yeah, it's solid.
It is basically same as Thousand Sons kind of thing. Great to start with. Only slight hesitation of World Eaters as a faction at the moment, but it could be worse.
You can't blame them because GW forgot to finish the range this edition. They were too busy making Votann awesome.
Which is good.
But sad if you like Chaos. But being disappointed as a Chaos fan is something that you have to get used to. You are the redheaded stepchild of every IP they have for some reason.
Oh, it is very true. Though the Xenos are not often treated quite as well well either.
We're on the upswing. The last 2 editions have been pretty good to us as Xenos fans.
Yeah, we only got rid of Harlequins. Are trying to kill Drukhari.
Look, you didn't have to bring me down. I was trying to think of good things.
Let's talk about the Aeldari Combat Patrol.
The Aeldari Combat Patrol is pretty decent. You get a Spirit Seer, 5 Wraith Guards / Blades, 5 Warp Spiders, and 10 Dire Avengers. I'm going to warn you that if you don't like all the units in this box, it's not worth it, and there are people who don't like Dire Avengers. It is a fine one-off to buy this box for sure, though, as long as you're not like someone who hates the Dire Avengers.
I did not know that there are people that hate the Dire Avengers.
They're the oldest of the Aspect Warriors, and they're kind of derpy looking, and a lot of people hate their helmets, and I agree, I hate their helmets.
Sure, okay.
I don't like Conehead that also has a toothbrush.
All right, never gonna unsee that one.
It's a hard one to get over.
Yeah, this Aeldari Combat Patrol, maybe I really like the Warp Spiders. They're really cool, so like that's kind of dragging my opinion of it upwards, but like it's good value.
It's good value. Every kit in here is a fine kit. Like they're all good. There's nothing wrong with this box. I just know that there is a section of people who despise one of the units, and it's not good if you despise one of the units. So there's your warning.
I do like that it's got some Wraith Blades and like not just full Wraith stuff. Like there's a decent spread going on there.
If I could improve this Combat Patrol, I would drop 5 of the Dire Avengers for a 3rd Aspect Warrior and make it a sampler platter.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You get your Spirit Seer with some Wraiths, and then you've got a nice sampler platter of the different types of Aspect Warriors. That would be my ideal. Doubling up on Dire Avengers just makes it so it's a little awkward.
I'm assuming that that's just because it was easier from a sprue kind of thing.
And it's an older kit, so they probably wanted to get them off the shelf when all the new ones are easy to sell.
That's, yeah, another thing there. But it's not too far off from that. Like, you got a few options going on here that you can take a look at and then see, oh, I really like the Wraith style. Let's go further into that kind of thing. I really doubt I would ever want 2 of these.
No, because that's 20 Dire Avengers. You have to really like them.
That's a bit much. They might be getting a refresh at some point, though. They did all the others. Come on.
They were already refreshed alone a while ago, which is why now they're the oldest one. It's weird. Moving into Genestealer Cults. Formerly had the best discount. Again, a very expensive army, so you want a good discount box. The new one is a Jackal Alphys, an Achilles Ridge Runner, 5 Adelan Jackals, and 10 hybrid Metamorph / Acolyte hybrids. The old box was cooler, but we have to get over that. I told you all if you were interested in Genestealer Cults to buy that box ad nauseum. I do not regret buying 3 copies.
I don't hate this box, though. Honestly, it goes reasonably well with the old box.
Yes, this box, in my opinion, it's still a good discount. It is a little weirder as a start because, in my opinion, the last box we had like a copy of all generic units, and this has some of your more stylish add-on units, in my opinion. But this box, A, if you already just started with the last Combat Patrol, this Combat Patrol is fantastic with it. And B, this Combat Patrol is still a fine, monetarily speaking, this is a good box still.
At least for Genestealers, you understand that like it's still only like 380 points.
Yes.
But that is good.
Yeah, this box, in my opinion, would be absolutely perfect if they had just thrown in 10 Neophyte hybrids, which I know is asking for a lot because it's already a 34% discount. But again, the last discount was legendary.
Yeah.
And it's how you make Genestealers affordable.
I do think that this new Genestealers Combat Patrol is a good, like, if you have heard all of our caveats to getting into Genestealers and are still like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna do it anyways, this is a good starting box. Get one of them.
Honestly, in a full Genestealer collections, I expect that you probably own 2 copies of this box. Because again, the 10 Metamorphs is 2 5-mans, but it's a dual build. So having 10 of one type and 10 of the other type is totally normal. And in addition to being dual build, there's the whole Flamer loadout versus but we're not getting into that.
Sure. WYSIWYG and whatever.
The point is there's a lot of way to build them.
And the Adelan Jackals can be run as 10-man. So you've got some variation there. Like, do you want to have the leader with 10-man and just have an extra leader sitting off to the side? side, or do you want lead 2 5-mans? Like, having 2 of these does give you some options.
Yeah, I still think this box is okay. Miss our legendary box, but this is an absolutely fine replacement for now. Just hope that it continues when this gets replaced some point in 11th edition, that box will also be a great value somewhere between the two in mixture.
Yeah, it's tough to say, like, the Ridge Runner is a centerpiece, but for Genestealers, it kind of is, and it works well enough, along with a bunch of bikes.
Yeah, like the only centerpiece in the army is the Rock Grinder, which was in the last box, so like I understand them wanting to swap it out for the Ridge Runner, which is smaller, but at least it's something different. I understand the changes between these boxes.
Yeah, I think this is all good.
All right, let's move into Leagues of Votann.
Yeah, we've got 1 Einir Champion, 3 Bow 3 Brokir Thunderkin, 5 Einir Hearthguard, and 10 Hearthkin Warriors.
It sure is a discount box.
It's not a great discount. It's not terrible. The points are kind of low, but like it's Votann without any of their vehicles, which means it's Votann without any of their vehicles.
This is missing a Sagittar.
It's missing a Sagittar, that's true, but the Sagittar is really expensive.
Well, that's more a problem with GW than it is anything else. It's not our fault that kit is too expensive. That thing is tiny.
It does kind of feel like this had a Sagittar and then they looked at it and were like, nah, you don't have better value than the Genestealer Cults Combat Patrol.
They also probably could have done the new not Sagittar that I don't know the name of, but I assume this had to be made out of not the new kits because of manufacturing reasons.
Which sucks, because that honestly, I mean, I don't know what the price of, they're probably really expensive, but that would also go really well. Because this has a lot of your infantry options.
Yes. The problem I have with this is it's got no centerpiece, and I don't know if you ever want a second champion.
It's probably fine.
Yeah, it's probably okay, but the discount's not very good on this box. However, I can almost guarantee you that you would use 2 of everything here except for maybe the champion.
And even then, the Votann range is so small, even with the expansion that they just got, that having 2 Einhard champions is probably not a bad idea, because you only have so much permutation in those lists.
So I still think if you're interested in Votann, this is a discount and is good to pick up.
And like, it's a solid start. You've got the different options.
Yes, but I would still say I am disappointed in the box.
Yeah.
But monetarily speaking, if you're looking to get into Votann, you could do worse. I guess let's do Necrons next.
All right, so the Necron Combat Patrol has an Overlord, a Canoptic Doomstalker, 3 Scorpek Destroyers, 10 Necron Warriors, and 3 Canoptic Scarab Swarms. This one's really polarizing to me because I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's rough, isn't it? This one has a lot of issues because Necron Warriors were printed to death last edition. The Scarabs, while it's listed as a separate unit here, is part of the Necron Warrior sprue. This is also a bunch of stuff that was in the intro box of last edition and then a Doomstalker. This is basically dumping old stock in a new box.
And even then, it's not the greatest discount.
And that's the worst part of this, because Necron Warriors are not worth their price tag because they're much cheaper secondhand because so many of them exist now. And there are people who enjoy the old version of them that also existed ad nauseum. It's like barely a discount at all. It's like wholly missing a unit discount wise. But point wise, it's okay. And structure wise, it's how a combat patrol should look. Like, I can't insult it in that way. And it's hard for me to want to ask for more, but I have to because discount wise, it's awful.
And like, if we ignored the fact that Necron Warriors are easy to come by secondhand and all that stuff, if that like wasn't a thing, this would be pretty decent and you could kind of want a second one because like, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, it's just weird because it's like everything is right about this other than the fact that I'm pretty sure if you just went on eBay right now, you could individually buy the things that are not already cheaper on Amazon than GW's website. And between those two sources, you could probably save money over buying this box.
Even if you can't like actually save money, it's the same thing that I was talking about with the actual like base Space Marine Combat Patrol. It was like 6% off. There's a certain threshold that having that all put together in one box at once isn't worth that discount price kind of thing.
It's devaluing your discount because it's like, I have to exactly want this to have any discount whatsoever. If there's any hesitation, it's not worth it.
And like, you could just pick and choose the ones that you want. So that's why it's so polarizing, because like it has so much kind of right, and yet it kind of fails at the value proposition. I don't know.
It's weird because like design wise, thumbs up, but as a product I recommend you buy, I don't think I can. Check the price on eBay of Necron Warriors and honestly of Scorpex, who were also printed to death last edition.
It is possible possible that like your local area just doesn't really have anybody trying to get rid of Necrons. And so for some reason, it's just not possible.
Even then, it's like the worst value box. It's so annoying.
It is so annoying. It's so close. It's all there. That one's tough. Let's just move on to Orks.
All right, this is all you, bud.
We've got a Beast Boss, 4 Squigog Boys, and 20 Beast Snagga Boys.
Which is 2 kits.
That's a lot of boys.
Man, it sure is good this Horde army properly shows that it's a Horde.
And at the same time, like this is like the kind of like elite part of the Horde.
Yeah, so it's not even bad point-wise.
Yeah, so you've got like solid points. You've got the cavalry style Squighog Boys going on there. A great leader. The only thing then is the discount isn't amazing, but it's fine. So if you're interested at all in the Squig part, Beast Snagga Boys part of the army, get this. The only real question is, do you buy a second?
I don't think I would ever recommend a second. Until you have a very large collection, like at 4,000 points, where you're just buying more because you want more of this part of the army and still need everything in this box somehow. I feel like by the time you're at a large enough collection where I recommend a second copy of this box to play super heavy slant lists of it, like where you want 40 Beast Snagga Boys in your army.
Yeah.
By the time you're there, you probably already picked up another box that contained too much of one of these things and no longer need this box.
All right, that's fair. Because like there's totally potential of like, oh, you've got, you know, a big collection of Orks, but like these are sort of newer, so you don't have quite as many of the base troop there. But no, you're right. You probably have collected them over the time. So you probably only want one of these. Not completely thrilled. It just does the job.
All right, let's talk about the other confusing one. Tau Empire. Commander in Enforcer / Cold Star Battlesuit. A Devilfish. 10 Fire Warriors / Breachers. 10 Pathfinders.
And then a shitload of drones.
The drones that go with them, which I'm not counting. Boy, is this box a little confusing.
It's really confusing. Breaking it down a little bit, the value, decent discount, not particularly great on points, but like it's Tau.
You get a centerpiece, but also you have a Cold Star with nothing for it to lead.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Solo Enforcer Battlesuit Punch Boy.
That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Don't
it was
do
in
that.
ninth. In ninth, it had a funny meme set up.
That's not a thing. Don't do that. This is not condoned by Poor Hammer.
I condoned it in ninth. So yeah, it's a weird box to recommend.
Other than like the recruit part, it does give you like the troops and it has at least a mech. So like it hits the check boxes.
Why can't we get rid of these 10 Pathfinders and put in 3 Crisis Suits and have no issues? Don't mention it's because Crisis Suits are ridiculously overpriced, so it would be a huge discount.
I was gonna say this is already like fine discount. If you made that change, it would be amazing.
It would be at least Genestealer Cults tier on discount.
Which is not a bad thing. GW needs to accept that. But I guess, I mean, those models probably sell pretty well because they're cool. So at least we have a mech.
I don't think this box is in any way bad, but it's very awkward to tell you to start your collection with it because it's got the Enforcer Battlesuit with no suits to lead. It's got a whole bunch of generic troops and a transport, but no support for your generic shitty troops.
I'm not going to give any negatives to having some of the troops.
This is not an unreasonable number of either troop to have. That's totally fine. Like literally 2 copies of this box exist in most people's collection.
I also think that like those are not the exciting purchases. So like if you got this, then you can buy the Crisis Battlesuits that are exciting in addition to it and be like, ooh, yay.
Yeah. The problem is Crisis Suits are so expensive. It's so painful to buy them solo after buying your discount box. And you're like, why can't they have been in the discount box?
Really, you're just like staring at the Devilfish going like, yeah, you're not terrible.
I'm not going to knock having a transport centerpiece. That's fine, especially since it's got a badass character.
Yeah, I do think that this is a perfectly fine starting intro. It's just you have to accept that almost certainly your next purchase is the Crisis Suit box.
Probably 2 of it, which is going to make you barf when you see the price tag.
Yeah, I was going with like 1 as like a, that then gives you point cost of some of these other armies kind of thing. But yeah, you're going to want more eventually. So it's probably a good pick pick up. Just not gonna be a cheap intro there.
All right, Tyranids. We're almost done here. Tyranids have the Parasite of Mortrex, 3 Tyrant Guard / Hive Guard, a Biovore / Pyrovore, and 10 Genestealers. Honestly, kind of like the new box.
It's nice that they didn't try to do the like 6 Tyrant Guard thing that a couple of the like Chaos factions.
Oh, that would be so bad.
So like we've got the Biovore and the Parasite of Mortrex. So like centerpiece wise, working out, you got your elites and then you've got your generic troops.
To me, this one gets a lot of props because currently in 10th edition, we have had intro box Tyranids printed to death, and this dodges them all. This is an accent to all the starter boxes that you've had access to for the last 3 years.
Which is great when it works out that way.
Yeah, this is fantastic for being an add-on to that. And it means that while all of those things are cheap next edition, you have this in addition to those. So you can do easy eBay pickups for, you know, your Termagants or whatever. And then you have this as your intro box. I like that over the current state of what I just described with Necrons, where there's the awkward, like, all of this just got printed to death and now it's a barely discount box in addition. This is a much better alternative. These are not my favorite Tyranid units. I really like Tyranid monsters. I really don't like Genestealers at all. That said, putting my personal opinions on that aside, this box is a decent starter box. There's nothing really wrong with it.
And I definitely think there are Tyranid enjoyers that like the aesthetic that's going on here.
Yeah, and the Biovore is always disgusting to actually have to buy because if you find the price tag versus the point cost, you want to weep. And it's a dual build kit, so you may want Pyrovores as well. It can be very expensive very fast and make you very sad. Tyrant Guard being dual build into Hive Guard, who are cool as shit in my opinion, though I have editions of remembering how they worked previously that make me think they're cooler than they currently are. It's a nice dual build kit that gives you more variety. Like, there's nothing really wrong with this Tyranid box. Parasite of Mortrex, a little weird for a character to get multiple of, but whatever.
I don't think it's terrible because it does let you play some of like the Vanguard Invader stuff going on there. But yeah, it is a little odd. It's nice as like part of the centerpiece thing going on there.
He's way smaller than he looks on this box, by the way.
Yeah.
Centerpiece wise, he is not that big.
It's like him and the Biovore trying to work together.
Together, yes, they have a little bit of presence on the board.
Yeah, I don't know about the second one just because like having a second Parasite of Mortrex is not necessarily bad, but that's probably going to push you a little bit more towards like the Vanguard Invader stuff. It's also kind of weird that there's no leader. That's your character and Parasite doesn't lead anything.
I almost feel like this box would have been crazy cool if it had been the Lictor, who is a multi-build character. That could have gone nuts.
That could have worked as well.
Like, at that point, I'd be like, buy all day.
It would feel a bit more cohesive, but it's not bad where it's at. If you were just trying to get into Tyranids, it's probably still going to be easy to pick up the other like intro ones from 10th edition. In addition to that, this Combat Patrol works pretty well.
And by the time that's no longer the case, I'm sure halfway through 11th, this will change to a new box and we'll be doing this episode again at some point.
Yeah.
All right. So for the only disappointing thing for us here, we are at the point in 10th edition where we knew every box except for Drukhari, who have been forgotten by Games Workshop.
Right.
Surely because we are going to be the little brother army of 11th edition, going up against Space Marines, getting a whole range refresh like Tyranids and Necrons before us and Death Guard before them.
I mean, they definitely need it.
They need it. Whether or not that's why they've been sandbagging the whole edition on Drukhari, we'll find out.
In before it's Orks.
There is currently no sold Combat Patrol for Drukhari. They swiped away the old amazing Combat Patrol we had for the last edition and a half. We do not get to even look at it anymore. They hope we forget about it. We will not forget about it. It was an almost 40% discount with 2 centerpiece boats and being an amazing spread, and it had even more hidden value because of how you could make more models out of it. Done talks on this before. Crazy box. We did not deserve the greatness it is. I am sure GW will replace it with something hideous and awful and nowhere near this cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's the expected outcome, but it all does kind of hinge on what 11th does. Like, if Drukhari is the little brother army against Space Marines there, they could do some cool stuff with like refreshes and new models, but let's keep our fingers crossed on that one because Drukhari definitely needs it, and it's going to be real tough to beat the old Combat Patrol.
Monetarily speaking, and the fact that it was like almost 500 points while being Drukhari, It's a crazy deal.
Honestly, if you can find that combat patrol for even slightly more than what it was, it's still probably a decent deal.
Yes, but I will give this piece of advice. If you are new and some of these don't exist partway through 11th edition because they've been replaced, don't freak out because the new box is worse and you should go find this box. If you're paying more than these discounts for these boxes, they aren't worth it. Don't worry about the fact that you missed out on these. It's too late. I don't even want to tell you about the greatness that was start collecting boxes.
Yeah, and like there's nothing particularly special about these. They're just a decent discount and hopefully a nice way to get into the army or to expand your collection. Some of them do that. There's not so much.
Yeah, but in any case, you are defeating the purpose by overpaying for them. So don't overpay for an old one just because we said it was good.
Right.
All right, that does it for us this week, though. Hopefully you got use out of this. Hopefully it worked for the majority of the beginning of 11th edition as well. If you are new, we have tons of episodes to help you out. We've got a whole playlist for new players and everything else. Maybe you're in that right now and that's why you're hearing this. But please check out more. We try to be helpful to you guys.
Yeah, definitely take a look for our 11th hot takes and reactions and all the hidden tricks.
And if it's 11th edition, don't be too worried about things that still say 10th edition on them, not just for our channel, but other ones. The game does not change all that much. A lot of things from 3 years ago are the exact same today. Outside of like exact budget episodes and things last a while in Games Workshop land if you're new. So don't worry too much about clicking on something a couple years old to get advice from people.
The Rhino is still a valid model and was produced originally in like 2003 or earlier or something like that. It's old as fuck.
God, I hope that quote dates this episode. All right, we're out of here.
Sounds good.